Hey, we need to talk about the shortstop position because if you're going to be drafting a position early, this is going to be the one that you want to target right away. Hey, Headliner Nation, welcome back to another Fantasy Baseball Positional Breakdown. I'm Kyle Richardson. Thanks for joining me on this video. Once again, we're going to be rushing through some of these stats. I don't want to say rushing through. That's not a good word to use, but we're going to be giving you some quick hitting analysis here. So we're going to fly through some of these guys. I'm going to give you my ranks, top 15 shortstops, but always keep in mind if there's a player that I rank here that I don't go in depth on and you want to know more about, hit us up in the comments below. If there's players that you think should have been switched around, if you have specific questions, we're one of the most interactive sports channels on YouTube. Leave your comments and your questions below and somebody will get back to you, either myself or Jake. But also make sure that you're liking the video and subscribe. If you become a part of Headliner Nation today, let us know in the comments so we can welcome you. Want to talk about shortstops, and just to preface this to begin with, this is the one position that I'm aiming for early. I don't love the depth here this year. There can be some guys that you'll get late in your drafts that will probably be decent values for you, but outside of the first, probably top 7 or 8, even 9 after that, I'm not loving it. That means if you're playing in like a 12-team league, you're gonna be thin at starting shortstop more than likely. And with this position, we need to start targeting it early. So let's jump into a few of these names here real quick. Coming in at 15 for me, Elvis Andrus from the Texas Rangers. This is a guy that a lot of people bought going into last year, but a lot of people were very weary of as well. In 2017, he did have a career-high 20 home runs. Not only was that his career high, but that was the first time in his life he ever hit double-digit home runs. Also career-high 88 RBIs, and he hit 297 that season. That's not going to be a season that we see going forward. We're not going to see those types of seasons from Andrus. He's never had that type of season other than 2017. Last year came back down to earth. Now he only played 97 games. That's obviously a part of the reason he didn't play nearly as well. He's a guy that if you miss out on maybe some of these, if the position just doesn't fall correctly for you, then you grab him late. But he's not a guy that I want to buy into, again, unless it's super late and I'm needy at shortstop. The next two guys, Jose Peraza from Cincinnati, Raul Alberto Mondesi from Kansas City, are both guys that I'm buying into if I need steals. Not necessarily grabbing right away, but later in the draft, if you're looking at your team and you're like, I really need to add somebody that can help me with steals, especially if you have like a middle infield spot you have to fill, then these are guys that I would look for at that point. My next guy is a guy that I'm going to talk about a lot more, probably in another, I wouldn't say must-have, maybe a sleeper video, one of the two. It's Paul Dion from the St. Louis Cardinals. I like this guy. I like this guy going into last season. I liked him a lot. Didn't quite have that year. Only hit 241, only 19 RBIs. We were expecting a little bit more. That rookie season gave him a 285 batting average, 25 home runs, 26 doubles. I was expecting more along those lines, and I think he actually can get back to that, especially with this lineup that they're going to have in St. Louis this year. If I can get a guy like Paul DeJong who is going to offer me that kind of upside and that kind of a lineup super late in the draft. Now, I have him at 12. And I'm weary to go a little bit higher than that, just because of his season last year. But that's why I'm talking about him more as like a sleeper candidate. Because if he hits, let's say he hits number 2 in front of Paul Goldschmidt and Marcell Ozuna and Yadier Molina, he's going to score a bunch of runs. He's going to have an opportunity to have a high average, probably a lot of doubles, even so a nice home run total for being in that spot. So he's the guy that I definitely want to buy into. At number 11 is Corey Seager. We don't know when he's going to play this year. He is coming back from injury still. Even if he comes back right away, how many days is he going to play? I think he can offer enough upside towards the end of the season that he can finish at shortstop 11, so I've got him there. At number 10 in Philadelphia, Jean Segura. I do like him as well. I think he could be another value pick later, but again, he doesn't offer you a ton. He might score a lot of runs. He might swipe some bases, but other than that, he's not going to offer you a ton of power. If he hits atop the lineup in Philadelphia, the stolen bases and the runs will absolutely come, but you're going to be lacking in some other areas. So he's vanilla. He's vanilla. He's okay. All right. There's not a whole lot about him. He doesn't have a lot of candies and things sprinkled in with him. He doesn't go wow off the poster at Cold Stone Creamery, if that's your favorite ice cream place. So he's the vanilla of the shortstop position. Coming in at number 9, Glaber Torres, a guy that offers multiple position eligibility, clocked in with enough shortstop appearances last season to play there again this year. So he's coming in at number 9. Number 8, Manny Machado. Again, weary of where he ends up. I don't love him going to San Diego. If that happens, I don't love it. And honestly, if he does end up in San Diego, I might put Torres in front of him. I haven't quite decided on that. It's something that I'm thinking about. We'll have to let that play out, though, and see what happens. Coming at number 7, Xander Bogaerts, one of my favorite players. I know I did a video a couple weeks ago, messed up the name. My apologies. But Xander Bogaerts is one of my favorite players. He's a guy that I have owned in some dynasty leagues since he was in the minors. And finally, last season, he put everything together. He gave you that high batting average, 288. He gave you that career high in home runs, 23. Finally broke 100 RBIs. The kid plays well. He's going to walk a little bit. He's going to strike out not too much. He struck out 102 times. I can deal with that at shortstop. But if you don't draft one of the top guys and you're able to get Xander a little bit later, you get really, really good production from a position that, again, I don't love this season outside of the top 7, 8, maybe 9 guys. So Xander Bogaerts is a guy that you need to have on your radar. Coming in at number 6, Carlos Correa. This is a guy who was a first-round pick in a lot of leagues last year, coming off a season in which he hit 24 home runs, 84 RBIs, a 315 batting average. Last season, dealt with some injury issues. Last 2 years, he's had a little bit of injury issues. Only 109 games and 110 games. 239 batting average, 15 home runs. Just didn't happen last season, but that's okay. We cannot give up on this guy yet, because last year he was probably ranked as the 2nd or 3rd shortstop, maybe even the 1st. A lot of people had him as their shortstop one, and now we've got him back at 6. I could see him going as high as 3 this year, so keep an eye on him. Trevor Story coming in at number 5. The reason I have him just a little bit over Correa right now is just that ballpark factor. Playing out in Coors Field, Andy's coming off an amazing season as well. 291, 108 RBIs, 37 home runs, 42 doubles. Trevor Story was just a complete package last year. Did a really, really good job. Even offered you 27 stolen bases. He is an excellent player. The only reason I have him as 5 is because Javier Baez, who also qualifies at shortstop, is number 4, or Trevor Story I would have in the top 4. At 3, I have Francisco Lindor. That one you got to be careful with. Okay, so he has the right calf strain right now. They're talking 7 to 9 weeks of action. But you have to remember, too, that even if he makes it back for opening day, or could make it back for opening day, does he need extended spring training? If he gets in the lineup right away, is he going to have some rust to shake off? I believe he will. That's a lot of time to miss in spring training. So even if he gets into the lineup pretty early in the season, I expect there to be some rust. He's going to have to get himself through that process. Might start a little bit slow. The one thing I would say about Francisco Lindor, if he does start off slow, he's a guy you target in trades right away. 2 is going to be Trey Turner. We're giving away a signed Trey Turner ball right now. So perfect segue here. Head over to our Twitter accounts. Mine's at krich1532, Jake at FantasyHeadliners, FNTSY Headliners. Enter there. You have to subscribe to the channel. There's a couple things you have to do over there. You could win that signed baseball. Trey Turner, again, another guy that I've tracked up through the minor leagues. I love his potential. Played all 162 games last year, 740 plate appearances. He gave you all of that. 19 home runs, that's all he had, but that's not bad. I think he grows on that. I think he hits more than 20 this year. 271 batting average. I think he gets back closer to that 284 that we saw from a couple of years ago. 43 stolen bases. He's going to swipe 40-plus bags as well. So Turner, he's going to finish as a top 3 shortstop. It just depends on when Lindor comes back and how healthy he is. Those two can end up switching places. My number 1 shortstop, if you're sitting here thinking right now, who in the world hasn't he said already? It's Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman had enough appearances at shortstop last season, more than 20, which typically qualifies you in most fantasy baseball leagues. He had more than 20 appearances at shortstop last year. He's going to keep that eligibility. He's a guy that I have ranked extremely high at third base. He's a guy that I said is a future MVP. This kid is amazing. Just career stats last year. If you didn't watch the third base video, we'll talk about it here real quick. Let me give you some of those numbers. He had 51 doubles, 31 home runs, 103 RBIs. He hit 286, but more importantly, he walked more than he struck out. Those are excellent numbers. This is a kid that could finish high in the AL MVP voting. Him and Correa, George Springer, Jose Altuve, formidable lineup out there in Houston. He has all the tools, all the potential in the world. Because he has that shortstop eligibility, even though he's not going to play there, he still is my top ranked shortstop because he's played more than 20 games last season. So that's why I have him atop the rankings. Remember, if there's anybody that you have more questions on, if there was anybody that didn't show up in these rankings, was someone too high, was someone too low, comment below. Let us know what you think. We're one of the most interactive channels here on YouTube. We'll hit you back with a comment. We'll discuss it a little bit with you, and we'll answer any questions that you have. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. More importantly, though, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet to the Fantasy Headliners, subscribe right now. Let us know in the comments. Let's welcome you to Headliner Nation, an amazing, fantastic community here on YouTube. Lots of great stuff going on here. A lot of great videos right now. Make sure you check out the other positional rankings if you haven't yet. And again, we're here to help you get ready for the fantasy baseball season. I'm Kyle Richardson for the Fantasy Headliners. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.